Welcome to High Heels in the High Country. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. This is the program that talks about rural women, the mothers, the daughters, the wives of those who are on the land. They've kicked off their high heels and slipped into a more comfortable type of shoe, and now they're running operations and enterprises. Even dairying has come under that magical feminine touch. Travellers heading south from Christchurch on State Highway 1 can't fail to notice the shelter belts being felled to make way for pivot irrigators and dairy herds, which makes Pencarrow, a dairy farm in the northwest of Ashburton, all the more unusual. Here, cows graze under established trees, and even the milking shed is surrounded by an array of native plantings. There's nothing ordinary about this dairy farm. It's interesting that most dairy farmers have a chainsaw in their hand. You guys have a spade to dig holes and plant trees.
Yeah, definitely. Our farm is certainly not one out of the bag from most mid-Canterbury farms. We do more planting than we pull out trees, and we're very, very proud of that. But, you know, it becomes really important to represent a different perspective on what dairy farming is about. And we were very fortunate that we were able to buy a neighbouring farm that had beautiful mature trees on it, and we made a promise to the vendor when we purchased it that we would do all we could not to disturb that. So we bought a legacy from the previous generation, and we want to make sure that that legacy is still there for the next one.
So how do you make it work?
We've built a storage pond for water, and we've got a pump system, and we've put set sprinklers in the same way that you'd run an irrigation sprinkler system in your garden. So we can't obviously till the soil and turn it over and replant grass because it's restricted by the big trees. So we've got the set sprinklers in place, and it's all set on a timer, so it's less labour intensive, and the sprinklers do their job under the trees. And it's just wonderful going out there on a beautiful sunny day, and the cows are grazing underneath, and they literally follow the shade of the trees underneath. And so they obviously love having the trees for the shelter and the shade. And interestingly, we're taking some sort of trial work about the level of grass growth too, and we do find that under the trees we've got no frost. So we are actually getting some good growth, grass growth as well, so it doesn't inhibit grass growth at all. So yeah, it's just a lovely environment for the cows to be in too, so happy cows, and hopefully they produce a bit more milk too.
If you're wondering what happy cows look like, this is Trish's herd at feeding time. Of course, the feed might be making a greater contribution to the estate of bliss than the trees, but either way it's a contented herd, and the result is increased production, which equates to success. Trish's determination to develop sustainable pathways to improving production has led her to becoming involved with organisations that share the goal of celebrating farming success.
I'm involved in the Lincoln University Foundation. I've been a trustee there for 7 or 8 years now, and becoming more and more involved in the South Island Farmer of the Year. Last year I was the judging coordinator for the regionals, and we stopped the competition for a year about 5 years ago and reviewed the whole way the competition was run. And we felt that the way it was, some of the feedback we were getting wasn't really attractive to people entering. So we now have focus on excellence, leadership and innovation. And we've got a whole new set of wonderful sponsors, and the competition is just growing from strength to strength now. So it's really exciting to be able to tell great stories about wonderful farming families and success in farming businesses.
Trisha is no stranger to farming success herself. In 2003, Trisha and husband Andy won the Balanced Farm Environmental Awards.
Well, it was really, really special and significant because it was the first year that the awards were run in Canterbury. And for a dairy farm to win that was even more special. And, that's coming up 11 years ago now, and to us it's still really, really important, as important now as it was then, but we just try to keep making incremental improvements. And for us, our whole farming mantra really is about sustainability, and I think that represented quite well in the Environment Awards, and carrying on from that, we're just building on it.
Trish has been building on her sustainable platform with an extensive tree planting program and careful management of irrigation. While their future looks bright for their sustainable approach to dairying, what about the future for sheep, beef and cropping?
Mid-Canterbury is known for its small seeds industry, so it's still very, very much an arable sector, and a very strong arable sector in Mid-Canterbury. Sheep and beef are obviously having their troubles and their challenges, but our oldest son is not a dairy farmer. He is absolutely passionate about farming, but he is a sheep, beef and deer farmer, and he's in the foothills down in South Canterbury. And he is growing the business and getting involved. Young people who are passionate about what they do will always do well. So I think it's not a doomsday exercise for sheep and beef. We just need to get young people who are passionate about that, and they will do well and they will succeed.
Which raises a perennial problem. Will there be enough young farmers ready to take today's successful farms into the future? Tricia thinks that tomorrow's young farmers do exist, but they won't necessarily have been raised on the farm.
I believe that there's also a lot of potential and tapping into the young people from urban centres who are, and that's where our next generation of farmers are going to have to come from. Because even though we've got lots of lovely young farming people whose children are coming into farming, I think there is the potential for urban people to come into the farming sector with lots of different perspectives. I mean, I'm a city girl originally too, and you'd probably find that 30 years ago there were lots of urban people that came into farming, and we've had that gap over the last 20 or 30 years where there hasn't been a lot of people from outside of farming sector coming into farming, and that's the area we're tapping into now. There's certainly that potential for pulling in the resources from outside of farming.
So how are you tempting them in?
Lots of education, lots of talking at schools, exposure through the media, telling those good stories about what career opportunities there are in agriculture. So that's an area that I'm really excited about being a part of, and sharing, the things like the South Island Farm of the Year, the Balanced Farm Environment Awards, going around and talking at college and from the school perspectives, getting into those urban schools, reaching out through the universities and enticing young people into science careers and commerce careers and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Are we going to have these people coming into corporate situations, or will a family farm still happen?
It's a fine line these days. I really believe that even though I perceive our farm as a family farm, we have to be corporate or business-like or business savvy in the way we run our farms. So, how do you describe a corporate farm? When businesses are investing, and they're multi-million-dollar businesses, is that corporate or is that family? And family businesses now include lots of other staff members too. We consider our farm at 740 cows is a relatively small dairy farm by Mid-Canterbury standards, but we incorporate 4 other staff plus 2 part-timers plus a calf rearer, so they become our family. So we still consider ourselves a family business, but we have to be smart and savvy about the way we run it.
Farms are rapidly becoming huge assets and multi-million-dollar businesses.
We've established the fact that agriculture is absolutely vital, and we're actually now starting to put some education around it that is that is sustainable and it's relevant and it's innovative and people are actually going to want to study it.
And Andrea Leslie is helping lead the industry down that path. She's introducing a range of new courses to Aoraki designed to specifically meet the needs of the industry.
And while those who are already on the land are doing amazing things, there's a queue of young people who are wanting to get into the farming industry. Reporter Emma Cropper went to the Aoraki Polytechnic to find out what it is that's attracting women into the farming area.
Farming is a traditionally male-dominated field and the backbone to the New Zealand economy. But it's the 21st century and that's changing. Women are making their presence felt in the agriculture sector. Meet Andrea Leslie. She's one of the leaders in the industry breaking barriers, running the primary industry portfolio at Aoraki Polytechnic.
And in my role, I've got two passions. One is agriculture and one is education, and it's a pretty exciting role to be in actually.
Currently, she's helping push the sector above and beyond what it has been in the past, which means making it sustainable. Farms are rapidly becoming huge assets and multi-million-dollar businesses.
We've established the fact that agriculture is absolutely vital, and we're actually now starting to put some education around it that is sustainable and it's relevant and it's innovative and people are actually going to want to study it.
And Andrea Leslie is helping lead the industry down that path. She's introducing a range of new courses to Aoraki designed to specifically meet the needs of the industry.
What does the agriculture sector need? What skills are short? What education hasn't occurred?
Andrea isn't the only woman leader. She's watching the female presence grow and evolve with the industry, but believes that message needs to be pushed more.
When I was at school, we had two choices. We either be a teacher or a nurse, and I think school careers advisors have come some way from there. But it still has to be part of the message that the government is giving, that parents are giving, that schools are giving, that we need women in agriculture.
More and more students, such as Cara Steedman, are choosing to study in the industry. Cara began studying horticulture at Aoraki and now is in the middle of completing a diploma in agriculture through correspondence at Lincoln University.
There's options just endless, just because they say do horticulture or agriculture doesn't just mean you're going to be a farmer or grow plants. It means there's other areas in the industry that you can get involved in, whether it be technology or the organics or farm management or anything like that, just to keep your eyes open, and there's so many different fields you can go into. It's neat.
Cara's hoping to become an organic consultant, helping people make the shift from normal to organic methods. But it wasn't always her dream. She made the shift into the agriculture industry later in life, making the transition after a range of different jobs and 3 children.
At the start, especially if you're an older person going back, you sort of feel as though your head's cut off for a while. But no, after a short period of time, you find it so exciting, you actually want to do it. And you'll sit down at night and you'll go, yeah, actually, what was that about? And you'll go and read a little bit more. So it's not actually that hard because you'll find you want to learn more.
Aoraki is doing their best to push more students into the industry, such as Cara. They own this 72-hectare training farm on the border of Timaru. And although practical skills are important, students are spending more time in here, the classroom.
When you're finished with that, guys, we'll be going out, putting our wet weather gear on, and we're going out to get a few lambs and to draft off.
It's hoped moving forward, the female presence in the industry will continue to grow and evolve with the agriculture sector itself.
Before we get to the fun part, the grapes must be grown and harvested and wine made. That requires vineyards and wineries. Or does it?
I think the way we've approached it is that to get our label out on the market immediately, because there is that opportunity, especially in Christchurch. There's so much new opportunity available there. We decided to use another winery, use their facilities. They have amazing equipment, so we don't have to make massive capital outlay. And then we've leased awesome vineyards. The thing about living in Waipua for more than 20 years, we know all of the vineyard sites so exceptionally well and what offers the best Pinot Noir, the best Riesling, and so we've approached the growers and working with them in long-term contracts to be able to produce the best possible grapes in every season.
Waipura is an area where it was said that the rabbits used to take a cut lunch because it was very, very barren. And where rabbits and sheep were, there are now vineyards. And where there are vineyards, there are women. We went north to meet up a couple of real characters in the wine industry. Waipura. Home to Canterbury award-winning vineyards and wineries is also where you'll find a new and innovative wine label making waves in every possible way. It's not just the name Tongue in Groove or the astonishing branding that's shaking up the local industry. There's another bubble in this winemaker's bottle. These high heels are attached to the legs of winemaker Lynette Hudson. Considered to be one of New Zealand's best winemakers, Lynette has made wines around the world and now brings her considerable experience to Tongue in Groove wines. She's not alone. High heels have a habit of attracting other high heels. This second pair is attached to wine marketer Angela Clifford. Together, they are the tongue and groove of Tongue in Groove. We all enjoy a great Riesling and a Pinot Noir, but who's going to be tempted to taste these groovy wines?
Really, we're looking for people who have a knowledge and understanding about wine. Neither the region or the varieties we're making are incredibly mainstream. So we are looking for people who at least know a little bit about wine or enjoy wine, but at the same time are keen to engage in a different conversation, to have a little bit of fun as well.
I think the label also really stimulates anybody who doesn't even know a lot about wine will pick it up and go, wow, that's so different, that's so out there. And that will actually make them want to learn a little bit more about it. So
and
there's
the
potential for new clientele.
Yeah, and the idea is to be engaging and fun and interesting. You know, I think somewhere along the line, perhaps this industry sort of forgot that or was more conservative.
Took itself a bit seriously.
Maybe just a little bit seriously.
Yep, and at the end of the day, life's about having fun, about being passionate and doing the things you love, but never forget every day is just to have a good time. And it's too easy to forget that.
Before we get to the fun part, the grapes must be grown and harvested and wine made. That requires vineyards and wineries. Or does it?
I think the way we've approached it is that to get our label out on the market immediately, because there is that opportunity, especially in Christchurch. There's so much new opportunity available there. We decided to use another winery, use their facilities. They have amazing equipment, so we don't have to make massive capital outlay. And then we've leased awesome vineyards. The thing about living in Waipua for more than 20 years, we know all of the vineyard sites so exceptionally well and what offers the best Pinot Noir, the best Riesling, and so we've approached the growers and working with them in long-term contracts to be able to produce the best possible grapes in every season. And then we can put out the wines, start selling them, and then we're going to progress forward to finding that special spot that we want to plant. But obviously that takes 10 years to get grapes, start making a return. So this way we get to have an income as well. And girls need money to have fun.
Which raises the question, what are a couple of girls who need money to have fun doing in an industry that requires barrels of money? The wine industry may be sweetly scented, but the financial reality has left a bitter taste in many investors' mouths. So who has the plan to ensure Tongue in Groove doesn't turn sour on the vine?
She's the marketer, she does the accounting. It's her fault.
I love that about winemakers. I think you're absolutely right, and we talked about that idea of romanticism and how romantic this industry is. When you've been in it for a while, you understand the pitfalls. We've both worked, for other people for a long time, and you can see where mistakes are made and where opportunities are created and where successes can be celebrated. So you know the game a little more. And I think the problem with the back of the envelope theory is that, generally speaking, there are people from other industries that have thought that they wanted to engage
have a
in the
winery.
romantic
They think it
side of
sounds
it.
romantic, but honestly, there's not that much romanticism involved in making wine. It's hard,
hard work.
dirty work. But people who love it and have a passion, that's what drives you. And that's what makes it exciting. Every year is different, and every year there's a potential for excellence.
And also for disaster, though.
Absolutely, but that's the challenge of the best viticulturalist and the best winemaker, to still make a good wine in a bad year. It's easy to make good wine in a great year.
So, what distinguishes one winemaker from another? How can Lynette ensure her wines set Tongue and Groove apart from all the other Waipara wine labels?
I believe that it's very easy, because I believe even if you give the same parcel of grapes to two different winemakers, and there's been lots of experiments with this all around the world, people have done this situation, picked them on exactly the same day and then given them to different winemakers, they always are very different wines. Because in winemaking there's so many tiny, minute things that you do, and change one of those and it has a big impact on the eventual wine in the bottle. And I believe that everything about me and my experience has taught me that I should do this or do that or do that, and no other winemaker could ever think the way that I do. You talk about things, but then it's just in the harvest as well. It's a manic time, and sometimes things just flow and you have those amazing moments and you do, I'm going to do that, and you have this brainwave and it's amazing success. Sometimes you don't have those, but that's okay. But there's all those opportunities to make that wine that's all about you and your reflection over that season. No one else could ever do that, and that's why all wines are so unique, and especially wines that where there's an emphasis on high quality and passion. That allows you. I've had the most amazing opportunity this year to make the vintage entirely myself, and that's such an amazing thing where everything you do is yourself, is done by myself. And it's like, often I have cellar hands in many other vintages, and that's exciting, but you're always telling people do this, do that, and you can't watch them constantly. This time it's all about me, which is a pretty amazing situation where you go, I did that, and as a result I can see that, and that makes it all the more exciting.
There's little doubt the women of Tongue and Groove will be producing many more exciting vintages in the year ahead. But what's their advice to other women winemakers wanting to follow in their high-heeled footsteps?
You have to be passionate, you have to love to want to do it, and then be focused, and you have the opportunity with winemaking to go all around the world, and you should do that because there's so much to learn, and then come back to your home base and start up something that really, really enthuses and makes every day joyful.
Well, who wouldn't drink to that? And cheers to that. That's this week's High Heels in the High Country. We'll be back next week at the same time with more stories about amazing women doing amazing things for that amazing industry called farming.